Because I believe that the more that I know who I am, I'll know what my purpose, my mission is in this world. What I am to do comes out of the overflow of who I am to be. And who I am to be is so much about what is on the inside of me. The problem, though, is that we live in a world that judges people, that categorizes people, that sees people based on what is on them, not what is in them. I've been on this journey of discovering what is in me, and part of that is by discovering more and more my family tree. On my mom's side, I am discovering more about who I am through my family tree. I can trace my family tree on my mom's side through my grandfather back to a man, his grandfather, who was full-blooded Irish. And he married a woman in Alabama who was half black and half white. Oh my goodness, I'm discovering who I am. I really get into it now. I mean, I'm Irish. I drink green Kool-Aid on St. Patrick's Day. I'm Irish. Also, though, my grandfather's father, the son of this Irish man and this woman who was half African American and half white in the culture, they had a son, my grandfather's dad, who was so fair-skinned he could pass for white. And so in Jim Crow segregation, there were times when he would be hanging out in the black community and walking around the black community, his community, and the police would stop him and say, "What are you doing here? You need to go back to your community, our community." And he would yell, "I am a black man." And then they would take him to jail. And this would reoccur on many weekends, especially when he was coming from the bar. Now, he's in my family tree. He is in me. He married a woman who was Haitian and Cherokee Indian. This is in me. I'm Cherokee Indian. I'm Haitian. I am Irish. I am African American. I am Anglo. This is in me. It's part of who I am. Does it have anything to do with who I am to be in this world? Now, also, I have found that through my grandmother on my mother's side, we can trace our family tree back to a woman named Lizzie. A black woman, an African-American woman, who was the first free woman that we know through my grandmother's bloodline. Her parents would have been slaves. She was free. She was a Christian. She is in me. She is part of who I am. Now, when it goes to my dad's side of the family, it gets a little tricky because, yes, there are African Americans there. That makes total sense to me. But there's also a man that I'm related to through my dad's side of the family named William Smith. William Billy Smith is a former governor of Virginia. He's also one that fought in the Confederate Army in my family. He was also a member with high rank in the Ku Klux Klan. That's my bloodline. That's my family. How am I to figure out who I am to be when slaves and Irish people and Haitians and Cherokee Indians and members of the Ku Klux Klan are flowing through me? I am a multi-ethnic, multicultural human being in this world, but yet the matrix of race says I am merely black. I don't mean that like I'm ashamed of being black, because I'm not. I don't mean that because I feel guilty about being black, because I don't. I mean, I sometimes listen to James Brown's song, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." But the problem is, sisters and brothers, is that there is a social matrix known as race. And in this box, in this framework, in this social matrix, people are characterized, valued, undervalued, marginalized, or propped up purely on what is on them, not what is in them. And so I walk through a mall, and if I'm not dressed a certain way, based on what's on me, people think things about me. Sometimes people follow me in the mall, and I want to stop them and say, why are you following me? I'm Irish. I don't understand this. Why are you? Sometimes when I get pulled over on the way home, driving the speed limit, being very careful, looking both ways, but on the way to my neighborhood, I'm pulled over by the police, and I'm asked why I'm there, and I want to say, I'm Irish. I mean, there's all kinds of Irish people and Irish-looking people that live here. I don't know why you'd pull me over or follow me. Once I was mowing my lawn, and a guy was running for city council, and he came up to me and he said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "Yes." He said, "Is the owner of this house home?" And I said, "I don't know. Let's go see." And we went up to the front door and we rang the doorbell, and then I turned around and said, "It's me. You're probably not going to get my vote, but it was sure nice to meet you." Race is a matrix. It's a man-made, socialized structure that, based on what's on you, determines how smart you are or aren't, how fast you are, if you can clap on beat, if you can be entrepreneurial, if you can be innovative, if you can be catalytic, whether you will celebrate when you score a touchdown or act like you've been there before. This is all based on what is on us, not what is in us. This is race. Race is not biblical. Race is not a design from God. This is a man-made structure, and as long as we are in the prison, as long as we are incarcerated to the socialized matrix known as race, we will always be trapped by this group is smarter, this group is faster, this group has rhythm, this group doesn't. That group will be great at math and science. That group won't. This group could be a CEO. Maybe that person could be a CEO if they start acting like the person in this group. And so here we are, imprisoned in this matrix. You know, it has been proclaimed recently in this nation that Black lives matter. And the response has been, well, all lives matter. But do we really matter when we are imprisoned in a socialized, man-made matrix that is already predetermined who is better, who is lesser than? I agree. All lives matter to God. That's not the problem. The problem is we are in a broken, upside-down world. We are in a sinful, sinister, divided, dysfunctional world where all lives don't value the same. And as long as we're in prison to race, we will never find the solution to this. Now, some believe that the solution to the issue of race is to be colorblind. They say, you know, this has actually been said to me, you know, Efrem, when I look at you, I don't see black, I see your spirit. And it sounds right, but it doesn't make sense to me. Really, you see my spirit? I can't even see my spirit. I look in the mirror trying to see my spirit. You see my spirit? What? What does my spirit look like? Now, we say something about race in order to get out of it that we would never say about gender. I mean, I would never say to my wife, you know, when I look at you, I don't see a woman. I just see your spirit. At least that's not what I was thinking when I first saw her. The solution to the dilemma of race is not color blindness. It's reconciliation. It's righteousness. It's a hunger and desire to know who I am beyond my skin color, though I'm not ashamed of it. It's to know who I am beyond my broad nose, though I'm not ashamed of it. It's to know who I am beyond my used to have kinky hair, but I'm not ashamed of that either. I look in the mirror and I see beauty. I see ability. I see passion. I see God's wondrous design, but I'm not limited by that because Jesus wasn't limited by that. In Matthew chapter 1, it talks about the family tree of Jesus, the genealogy of Jesus, the bloodline of Jesus. Now, Matthew chapter 1 should never trump John 1 because for the Christian, John 1 is what's most important about Jesus, that he was in the beginning with the Word, was God, was the Word. Everything came into being through him, and he became flesh. Yes, to know Jesus is to know one beyond this human shell, but Jesus came to earth in this human shell, and Matthew chapter 1 helps us understand the Son of God as the Son of Man. Now, in his bloodline is mentioned a woman named Tamar. Tamar was a Canaanite woman, according to Genesis, which means she would have been a descendant of the cursed people because Canaan, the grandson of Noah, was cursed by Noah. She would have been a cursed, marginalized, second-class woman, but she's in the bloodline of Jesus. Being related to Noah, that means that she's connected to the sons of Noah, to Ham, to Cush, to Mizraim, to Put. If you study those families, they are the original inhabitants of what we call today Israel, Palestine, Libya, Ethiopia, Egypt, and the Sudan. That means that Egyptians and Israelis and Palestinians and Libyans and Ethiopians are all in the bloodline of Jesus. Abraham is mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. He was born, if we take a biblical map, in a place called U-R, but if you put that next to a map today, that is Iraq. So Iraqis and Ethiopians and Sudanese and Libyans and Ethiopians, Israelis, Palestinians, the oppressed, the marginalized, the oppressor, the privileged, the poor are all in the bloodline of Jesus. If that is true, when Jesus walked the earth, he walked the earth as a Jewish, Hebrew, multi-ethnic, multi-racial, multicultural human being. If that is true, when Jesus died on the cross, that was multiracial, multicultural, multi-ethnic blood dripping from his hands, dripping from his head, hitting the foot of the cross. We can literally say that Jesus died for all of our sins because all of us was flowing through him. Here is the dilemma, though. We took this Jesus and this Son of God, and yes, we crucified him, but then we did something that is kind of weird, doesn't make much sense. We took the crucified and resurrected Christ, and we incarcerated him in the prison of the race matrix, and we made him Western and white, quite pretty and handsome, with beautiful blue eyes. I mean, it looks innocent in and of itself. I mean, what's wrong with that Jesus? I mean, he looks innocent, he looks pure, he looks beautiful. He is everything that our culture says is handsome. There's no acne on Jesus, no mole, no birthmark on this Jesus. This Jesus, I don't know if it was Noxzema or what it is, but just beautiful, wonderful skin, this Jesus that we've incarcerated into the prison of race. And we wonder why this Jesus can't solve the dilemma of race. Because he's a counterfeit Jesus. Now, I'm not arguing to you that Jesus should be black, because that would just be moving Jesus from one prison cell to another prison cell in the same penitentiary. I'm not arguing that we should make Jesus red or Jesus yellow or Jesus brown. I just want the authentic Jesus because I think the authentic Jesus could be the reconciling solution to the dysfunction and the disease of racism. As long as we are in the matrix of race, we have to decide which group is smarter, better, more valued. Who's on top, who's in the middle, who's on the bottom. But there's more flowing through me than that, and there is more flowing through you than that. there is Haitian, there is Cherokee, there is Irish, there is Ku Klux Klan, there is slave, there is free, there is wealthy, there is oppressed flowing through me. And I wonder if the more I know who I am, the more it will inform who I am to be. Maybe that's why I had to pastor a multiracial church, because there was more in me. Maybe that's why I have to build bridges between the rich and the poor, because there's more in me. That's why I have to travel the world, because there's more in me. That's why I have to touch poor kids in Dandora, Kenya, or Soweto, South Africa, because I'm discovering more in me. And the more that I know what's in me, the more I discover my mission. What if you knew who you were? Maybe what is inside of you will make you the business person you're supposed to be. Maybe by knowing what's in you, it will help make you the scholar, the pastor, the nurse, the politician, the innovator, because there's so much in you. You better look at your family tree, but then also look at one who is beyond this place, beyond this realm, who came into this world purposely in the package of a multicultural, multi-ethnic, countercultural human form, that we would be liberated from what is false and be sent in to what is true about you and I. You know, I was a theater major in college. I went to a performing arts high school. I've been fortunate to be in a film. I've been fortunate to be on a stage. But I was pretty clear when I was in the film that that wasn't me. I was playing a role. I was pretty clear, whether on the stage or whether in front of a camera, that at some point I had to step away from the character that I was playing, that the script dictated, and really be me. I mean, I would be in a dilemma if I stepped off the stage or from in front of the camera and I never became me again. That's what race has done to us. Are you playing a character dictated by a script based on a broken, dysfunctional, socialized matrix? That's why race will always be in the discipline of sociology, so that we know what it is. Race does matter. Race has real effects, and in the discipline of sociology, we must study it deeply and care about it, but it's not how you solve the issue. That's why we need anthropology. That's why we need genealogy. But I'm crazy enough to believe what we really need is the right theology. We can build bridges. We can tear down walls by simply becoming who we were always meant to be from the inside out.